We all know that the tragic backstory is incredibly cliche. It's a very common trope in fiction, and we see it everywhere, especially in Dungeons & Dragons. But why is it cliche in the first place? What makes a tragic backstory so popular? By the end of this video, I'll have answered that question, hopefully to your satisfaction, and you know the secrets that all the best character backstories have in common. There are 3 things I have seen over and over again in characters with a great backstory. Number 1, be specific. A good backstory includes specific people, places, and events that the Dungeon Master can weave into the narrative of the campaign. It essentially becomes material for the DM to use. Now, depending on your DM style, they may or may not use your backstory, but in my experience, it's always better to have it than to not. And you can think of it this way. Dungeons & Dragons uses collaborative storytelling, which means that the players and the Dungeon Master work together to create the story of that adventure. So having these specific people, places, and events in your character's backstory integrates them into the campaign on a deeper level than they would otherwise if those things didn't exist. Number 2, be unique. A better backstory is specific and includes something that makes your character special. There are a million tiefling rogues and human fighters, so what sets your character apart? Now, this is where you have 100% creative liberty over your character. This is the part where you can become whoever you want to become. What makes your character special could be anything from physical appearance to personality quirks to where and how they got their training. Because even level 1 characters are a step up from your common NPC. So how did they get to where they are now? You can even take the starting equipment of your character and flavor it just by changing the name. So if you want your barbarian to be a Scottish Highlander, you start them with a greatsword and a dagger. Then the greatsword becomes a Scottish claymore, and the dagger becomes something called a skiandoo, or a sock dagger. You can pick Outlander as the background, and your traveler's clothes become your clan tartan. All of a sudden you have a unique spin on an otherwise common character. Number 3, have a why. You'll need to answer this question for your player character. Why are they going out on adventures in the first place? Now, tragedy is a powerful and compelling reason to go adventuring. Maybe you're seeking to avenge the deaths of your loved ones, or maybe you're trying to become more powerful so a similar tragedy doesn't happen to someone else. Tragedy in your backstory is emotionally compelling, it's heart-wrenching, and because it's fiction, it's very entertaining. Tragedy is a tried and true why for many an adventurer. However, there are other reasons to go adventuring, and I have a couple of ideas. First, I'd recommend you take a look at your character's background. The background is more than just a list of starting equipment and gold pieces. It also gives you suggestions for your character's personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, and you can often discover a reason to go adventuring in one of those areas. For example, the Outlander background has a personality trait that says, "I'm driven by a wanderlust that led me far from home." And that's a pretty compelling reason to go adventuring, an insatiable need to travel and see the world. You can also drum up your own reasons. Maybe your player character has ambitions of glory and power. The fame that comes from slaying a dragon could be motivation enough to set out on an adventure. Whatever the reasoning you decide, knowing why your character would join a group of adventurers and set out on an epic journey is the difference between an okay backstory and a fantastic backstory.